Hey, this is Chaim, and this video is about cognitive dissonance. I would first like to give you the definition of cognitive dissonance and a simple explanation to go along with that before I give you my input into the research and personal experiences I've had with cognitive dissonance within the religious community that I once was more active within, and also the rest of the world. So, according to modern psychology, cognitive dissonance is the feeling of discomfort when simultaneously holding two or more conflicting cognitions, ideas, beliefs, values, or emotional reactions. In a state of dissonance, people may sometimes feel disequilibrium, frustration, hunger, dread, guilt, anger, embarrassment, and even anxiety. There's also other things that can be said about that. The phrase was coined by Leon Festinger, if I am getting his last name correct, it might be Festinger, in his 1956 book, When Prophecy Fails, which chronicled the followers of a UFO cult as reality crashed with their fervent belief in an impending apocalypse. Um, so, I have been doing a bunch of research on this, and it seems to be not only on the individual level, but the on the collective level, it enforces cognitive dissonance on the individual, him or herself. Um, I once had a severe case of cognitive dissonance. Once I recognized that, my cognitive dissonance has decreased. I feel that once one is able to recognize it, one is able to search for the truth more accurately. Whether we ever find the truth of our existence, that's a different story. We might not ever find it in our lifetime, or we might. You never know. Um, but the thing is, someone who is not willing to listen um, and pushes what someone's pushes what someone says who has an opposite belief of them away without even taking it into consideration, I feel is a problem. Um, the majority of my friends who are religious in the organized sense, in the uh, yeah, like with uh, Orthodox Judaism, even Reformed and Conservative Judaism, there is a case of cognitive dissonance. I feel that there is a severe problem within society, and at least for now, I think the only way for us to decrease cognitive dissonance is to recognize it on the individual level. Um, but trying to solve the problem on the collective level, well, that's a bit more difficult, and I think there are groups of people trying to figure that out now. Um, but let me give you an example of cognitive dissonance. Um, I had a discussion with my rabbi the other day, and well, he wanted me to basically give a little, what you call in English, I guess you can call it a speech, to his little party that he was having. Um, and so I told him this is just a theory. It doesn't prove your claim to be right or wrong. This is just a theory that um, adds an idea to the realm of possibility. And I also told him this is purely a natural claim. So by default, being that what I'm about to say is a natural claim versus your claim, which is a supernatural claim, by default, it is a higher probability. It's more likely to be true. But it doesn't mean that it's right or wrong. It's just a theory. It's not a scientific theory where you can observe the results and have the same results consistently. but it's just a possibility. So I told him this. Let's say you have a father whose children are completely disobedient, disrespectful, just purely disgusting. So the father comes up with this amazing story and he tells his children, listen, your ancestors, millions of your ancestors, spoke to God, right? Like God spoke to them and they spoke back to God. And he gave them a set of laws to follow by. And if you don't follow these laws, you're going to die. You are going to be cut off from your family. You are going to go to hell. All this stuff. And the father made the children believe this is true. And he made sure that they followed it and were obedient towards this by making sure that they knew it letter for letter, word for word. And if there was one letter that was wrong, it needed to be thrown out and started over again. These kids were scared into memorizing letter for letter, word for word this doctrine and following it, so they stayed obedient towards their parents, and then the next generation towards their parents, and so on. And as time went by, due to this extreme amount of fear and also the experiences that went through that enforced this doctrine, such as the Holocaust, as because the book says if you don't follow this, this is what's going to happen. And the Jewish people, as you notice, have been persecuted throughout time. So that enforced those who believed in it already, or at least a lot of them. Some of them went away from it. Well, not some of them. A lot of them went away from it, but and formed their own thing. But those who stayed, these oppressions, afflictions, whatever you want to call it, have enforced their beliefs and kind of distanced themselves from reality or from any other type of explanation for why all these bad things are happening to them. So they have developed a severe case of cognitive dissonance. Um, so, that being said, I'm not saying that this is what happened to the Jewish people, but it is a possibility, and it's a natural claim versus a supernatural claim. And because it's a natural claim, by default, it is more likely to be an accurate story versus a supernatural story. Um, because obviously the word supernatural means above our own nature, something that cannot be observed. Like you can observe a father telling a lie to his children in order for them to be obedient, and it's known that this has happened. Like when your parents are younger, I know when I was younger, my mom told me if I eat my spinach, I will get magical powers because I used to like magicians as a kid. So in order to get me to eat spinach, my mother would lie to me and say, "Hey, if you want magical powers when you get older, you're gonna have to eat your spinach." She lied to me. It's a natural claim, and it happens all the time. So just by default, because it's natural, whether that happened to me or not, or happened to anyone else or not, it's purely a natural claim, and therefore it's more likely than a supernatural claim where something like God and angels and demons and all these things are have have come into our reality and have interacted with us. Now, I'm willing to change my views on this if someone is willing to prove um, something else to me. And right then and there proves that my cognitive dissonance has been severely decreased um, just by the very fact that I'm willing to listen and change my point of view based on stronger evidence that I have now. Stronger evidence than what I have come to accept. So on that note, this has been Chaim. Peace.